request you all to self-manage yourself, and on each table I want at 8 people.
At least 8 or 9 people. 8 or 9. And if you see there's a table which has less people, then you are welcome to join, especially from the back side. There's one seat here. You would definitely like to sit with someone whom you doesn't know. And after today, you will know another person.
At your table, discuss the impediments you have encountered in your teams or organization, or I saw there are some students as well, right? We have some students as well. Or the impediments which you have seen in your areas, maybe in your class, in your college, okay?
All right, thank you. For me, as a person to start with, I'll honestly say, as on my own, I find myself as an impediment because I felt to manage my time when it comes to doing programming. I've joined a company that I'm not allowed to have time to do my programming. So I know that I've not done what I'm supposed to do my programming. So, anything else? I can continue?
You have got 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay.
So you need not explain them, just
okay. All right. In team, limited time from my team members to help me do my programming. They don't have time to help me do my programming, so that I find that as an impediment. In an organization, our leader, who is our head of our department, is not very helpful. Thank you very much.
Lack of inspiring, lack of mentorship, limited technology, lack of empowerment, fitness, levels of education, so on and forth, lamentation, water rationing, load shedding, poor policies, human resource, climate change.
Oh my God, this person is dirty, Talks about real problems.
For the first one, we have low morale from the general public. Then we have lack of support. Then lack of advertising. Then we also have lack of hardware. Then lack of expertise. Then we also have indecisions. And there's also procrastination, so to say.
Well, I'll mention one, and my friend will mention the others. So we have lack of collaboration. Our previous speaker talked of lack of collaboration. This is why we're failing in the game industry. So I think an impediment for me is lack of collaboration.
Lack of good time management, lack of proper communication, lack of motivation, lack of information, and lack of discipline. Lack of consistency. Thank you.
Lack of required skills, lack of proper equipment to carry out work, imposter syndrome, negative vibes, ignorance, not enough funding, lack of learning environment, lack of skills and resources, lack of money, lack of communication, and unstable internet.
Oh my goodness, so many lacks.
Each and every person will be there to fund that.
You have got 30 seconds, so don't explain.
We've got skill set, xenophobia, time, understanding of comprehension, social construct, fear of change by end users, financial construct, lack of communication, network slowdown, load shedding, trust in Zambia product service and delivery, lack of resources, money, machinery,
lack of time, lack of skills, lack of good leadership from leaders, lack of willingness, lack of confidence, lack of competency, and there is hardware constraints, lack of friends, and being disorganized when working with people.
That's very interesting. Okay. Did you realize one thing? The problems or the impediments which you always thought that these are my impediments, did you realize that, oh God, I mean, other people are also suffering from the same impediment? Maybe different organizations, maybe different areas, but the same kind of problems. Okay, so now let's talk about them. Insufficient knowledge. I remember a few stickies, few points from some tables. Insufficient technical knowledge. Insufficient functional knowledge. Right? There are two categories in knowledge. So this is all what I'm showing is based on my experience, what the kind of problems that I have encountered in different organizations. Okay, there may be different other categories as well, but we'll talk about some of them because we don't have unlimited time, like we don't have unlimited impediments. Processes and tools. Have you heard this line or have you seen this line anywhere? Processes and tools over individuals and interactions. Have you heard about Agile Manifesto? Anyone is exposed to Agile Manifesto? I can see some hands. Do you know there are 4 values over there? 4 values and 12 principles. So in 2001, a few people from developer community in United States, they went away on it was not a holiday for a weekend to discuss that what are the current challenges in product development and how we can overcome them. Okay, and that's where those people came up with an Agile Manifesto of 4 values and 12 principles. Okay, this is one of those values. Processes and tools over individual and interactions, but in the reverse order, because it becomes a problem. The actual value, the actual manifesto was individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Okay, but the problem that start happening is processes and tools over individual interactions. For example, lack of communication. It happens a lot in organization. Rigid processes. Okay, someone 5 years back, 10 years back, someone came up with a process which was correct, which was a good process at that time, but we are still doing it, we don't know why we are doing it. And the person who actually came up with that process, he is no more in that organization. It happens. Then difficult people with no shared understanding. Are you kidding? How people can be difficult? Have you seen difficult people? The most difficult creature on this earth. So difficult people with no shared understanding. Now those people can be team members and those people can be in leadership. But then an argument is, if they are leaders, how they can be wrong? But leaders can be wrong, right? And if you are in school or college, your professors or your co-students, anyone can be difficult. We love to be difficult, sometimes. Legacy systems. The problems with legacy systems are high transaction cost. So transaction cost is nothing but to deploy, to provide it to the user so that someone can use it. Okay, so that is a transaction cost. Then difficult to find knowledge workers. So there are some companies who do development. Recently we coached a company and they were doing some programming. Their whole system was developed on Delphi. And very few people use Delphi these days. So they were always challenged to find people who work in Delphi. So that's why difficult to find knowledge workers. And you can see I have not used the term resources, because people are not resources. They are knowledge workers. High response time of applications. Have you faced this with any other application? High response time. You are waiting. Why website is not responding for like last 1 minute or last 30 seconds? And believe me, 30 seconds is huge in terms of response time. So I'll take an example. I used to work at a bank. I won't take the name. And there was a banking platform app. It was used by the front end help desk from the bank. And when I went there just to open my account, and it was taking like 1 or 1.5 or 2 minutes just to respond. And when I asked that person that, are you happy with this? And he was like, he was an employee of our bank, and he was like, no, I'm not happy with this because it takes a lot of time. Then I got the frustrated customers because they are waiting for just to open their account. So if the person who is using within the organization, if he is not happy, how the customer will be happy with legacy systems? So result is unhappy people, unhappy customers, unhappy users. Everyone becomes unhappy because you have to deploy, you have to maintain, and you have to use those systems. And then there can be few impediments which are out of organization. One of them is load shedding. Hashtag. There could be personal life issues. Someone having a bad time at his home. I didn't say, if as a husband I fight with my wife. Natural or unnatural disasters. Load shedding, is it a natural disaster or unnatural disaster? Yeah, it could be both, right? There was less rain, we are dependent on hydropower, and that was maybe one of the reasons. But it is an unnatural disaster. We could find some other ways. And then, bad economic conditions. It's out of anyone's control. We can't control it, right? So now, at your table, there are 2 sheets on A3 paper. Now, you will stick those stickies in the columns according to the impediments which are under your control, okay, or your control or your team's control. Impediments which are under your organization control, or impediments which are out of control. Okay. And you will get 3 minutes for that. So what you will be doing, you will be putting these, I'm not sure if it is visible or not, you will be putting these stickies in the respective columns where you think this impediment could be your or your team's control. If that impediment is in your organization control, your team can't actually resolve the problem, then it comes here. And if you think, it's a natural disaster, no one can control within your organization or within your team, then it comes here. So you've got 3 minutes to do this exercise, and your time starts now. And you are doing this as a team.
Surrendering all, no hurting no more. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. No hurting no more. Pain out the door.
we already discussed that insufficient knowledge can be insufficient technical knowledge and it can be insufficient functional knowledge, right? So, if insufficient technical knowledge is there in your team or in your organization, then one way is books, blogs and articles. Okay, do you read books, blogs or articles on internet? These days knowledge is free, right? So one option is you read them, and for that I'll take an example of the same bank where I work. What we did, we created a Teams library, okay, where we used to purchase books out of our learning budget, and those books used to be there in the library, and then people will share it. Because how many times it happens that we buy a book, we just read it once or twice, and then it's lying somewhere. So if we can create a Teams library, then for example, if you are working in Java, then you can have like different books on Java, Java scripting, Java Beans or whatever technologies you are using, and then you can share those books. Because some really great people in the industry, they have written a lot of things about their experiences. Another good way is to start writing them, to start writing blogs, to start writing books, or to start writing articles on the basis of your experience. Because the problem which that was resolved by you, someone else in the world might face the same problem, and then he will benefit out of your experience. Then interactive videos. Okay, I remember when I was a team member in a team, then one of the programmers, he said that Rahul, we need to start automation, and I was like okay, and then I will need training, and then he was like, training? Why I needed training? And I was like, otherwise how I will do it? He was like, Google uncle, ask him, right? Everything is Google, YouTube, everything is available. So why you need a training? And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And that's how I learned automation. So initially I was reluctant to it. No, I need a training. I need a 2-day training to learn this. But then later I realized that he was right. Okay. Then you can watch, you can create those videos, improve practices. What kind of practices? Pair programming, unit testing, continuous refactoring, mock programming. There are various ways. Test-driven development, behavior-driven development, continuous integration, continuous deployment. There are various ways to improve technical practices and to increase the functional knowledge, create a safe space to learn. Have you heard about backlog refinement? Have you heard about backlog? Okay, I can see there are a few people. So refinement is nothing but when the whole team sits together to analyze a problem or analyze a requirement. Okay, and then they come up with a solution. That is nothing but a refinement where the whole team participates, and each team member has their say in the decision. Okay, it's not just done by one person and then other people are just following it blindly. So it's an agile act which came from extreme programming. Then pre-refinement sessions if they are needed. So if in your team you have new team members and they don't have sufficient functional knowledge to go in the refinement sessions, then what you can do is you can have a pre-refinement sessions where the experienced team members from your team, they will explain that what needs to be done there so that they can be prepared for the refinement sessions. We tried it with a few teams and it worked out well. Then processes and tools, lack of communication. So basically, what is the best kind of communication? Emails, right? Emails, no.
face-to-face communication is the best mode of communication. Okay, now some people say that how can I do face-to-face communication? That person is sitting in South Africa and I'm here in Zambia, we can't do it. But technology allows us to do that. Rigid silos process is another problem, right, in a lot of organizations. Then identify delays and optimize it. So I will use a slide from, it's from Scale Agile Framework. Okay, it's basically how we can scale the agile ways of working within big organizations. Okay. So if you see, I'm not sure if it is it visible? Not that good, right? So I'll read it. So it's like when a request comes for a change, okay, until the time we deploy it, if you see, sometimes we deliver, so where the value is happening. So what we do, we get a request within an hour and then we wait for 1 week for the approval. Okay. Then for 2 weeks, that email will go to tech lead. Then another 2 weeks, those people will assign a developer. Then another week, there will be time for verification once the coding is done, and then deployment. If you can see, to deliver the value of few hours, okay, the wait time is few weeks. So identify the wait time in your process, in your whole process, and then how you can optimize it. That's important. Then get rid of processes that hinders collaboration. Collaboration is very important term. Collaboration is something which has been used in agile ways of working quite many times in the principles. So collaboration is more important than negotiations, right? Change performance management process if it is needed. Okay, a lot of companies in South Africa and around the globe, they are changing how they do appraisals. So previously the appraisals used to be done on the personal basis, now it is happening on the team basis, where team rates themselves. And then you are also rated how helpful you were for the other team members. That changed the whole equation. Because earlier you wanted to be a star, and now you wanted to be a star who helps everyone. So that changed the mindset of people. Difficult people, no shared understanding. They can be team members, they can be leadership. Train them together, not separately. Leaders and team members, train them together. Then this is something which we call lift off, which every team needs. And this contains value. So there are various ways, various methods which I will use. If you want to know something about it, then we can talk later. Okay. So there are various agile tools which you can use to improve this collaboration. So one is value stream mapping, working agreements. This is the most vital part of any team. If you don't have working agreements, you're not a good team. Okay. Then vision workshop, roles and responsibilities, context diagram. There are various tools. Then definition of done, definition of ready. Have you heard about this term? Definition of done, definition of ready. Okay, so these are all agile concepts which are important for the teams if you want to do the software development or product development in agile ways. And then at the end, coach them together. Or get some coaches to coach them together. So, legacy systems. We talked about the 3 problems. High transaction cost, difficult to find knowledge workers, high response time of applications. There is only one solution, which is start automation. If that is not possible, then get rid of them to get new systems. There's a saying in developer community, if a code is a legacy code already, if no tests are written, or if no test can be written. We spoke about out of organization problems which can be personal life issues. So if you see someone in your team has some personal life issues, at least support that person. Okay, because anyone can help. And you can help if help is asked. Don't try to help like, okay, I can see you have a problem. Can I help you? So if someone asks for help, you help. Natural or unnatural disasters out of anyone's control. I mean, load shedding, not in our control. I mean, not in organization's control, right? Bad economic conditions, be transparent about it. So here I'll take an example of a clothing company, which is, its name is Patagonia. It's a United States brand. So what they did when the last time recession hit, okay, they were bound to get rid of some employees, especially the contractors. And then what they did, instead of getting rid of laying off the contractors, they called everyone, all the employees in one room, and they told them the reality that this is the situation. Okay, now our solution was to lay off the contractors. But now this is on the table. Please discuss and come up with different solutions. So they were transparent about the problems. Okay. And then what happened is the permanent employee, they came up with a solution. No, we don't want to lose the people who are working with us. So what we'll do is we'll start billing for less hours, so that we will earn less, but then other people will also earn less rather than getting laid off. So that's how they self-manage themselves. So again, we can't control, but how we respond to it, it's also important. So now, discuss the possible solutions for your top impediments at your table, and you have got 3 minutes. So now what you're doing is, discuss the top, it's a group exercise. Okay. Discuss the top impediments which you found on your sheets, okay, and write down the possible solutions as a team. Okay, and I'm giving you 3 minutes for that. It's not compulsory to do all, but at least few. So discuss them and write the possible solutions in the column of possible solutions.
Surrendering all, no hurting no more. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. No hurting no more. Pain out the door. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. Love, love, love.
Time is finally up. If you are not finished with all, it's fine. We will have lunch after this, and we'll have lunch. You can still discuss if you want. No, you would not like to do that. Okay, thanks everyone.
Okay, so the impediments that we came up with were finances and level of education and laziness. That was what time would allow. So when it came to finances, we looked at financial management as one of the most important things. And then for level of education, we looked at having an open mind, collaborating with others, being part of the community, your attitude also, be willing to learn, contribute. Your contributions open your mind up, and as you are sharing with others, they are learning from you, you're also learning from them. And then laziness, self-motivation for laziness. And then the imposter syndrome, we had try and step out of your comfort zone, try out new things, and contributions in general should be rewarded. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a number of impediments. The first was lack of collaboration and communication on both the team level and organizational level. The solution for that was trying to build communication skills at an individual level and also at an organizational level. So find out why you're having issues communicating as an individual and work on that, but also as your organization, find out how you can better get your ideas across. The next was ideological differences. This was on a team level. And the solution to that was find ways to build bridges between the reality of an organization and its targets. That way you would better set goals and ideas. The next was bureaucratic issues on the organizational level. Sometimes we are in places where we've set strict power structures, and so that means not everyone in the organization knows what's going on, or that means certain things can only move when a certain person is there. So the solution for that was to introduce transparency in an organization and also decentralize power. The next was power issues, ZESCO, and that was out of our control, but the solutions we came up with were implementation of policies on energy conservation and introduction of solar panels or systems. And finally, we had unwillingness to change on a team level. Sometimes you have certain ideas or behaviors and you're not willing to improve or work on them no matter what anyone says. And the solution for that was building a positive attitude. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we saw that this team came up with some possible solution for the problems which are not even in our hand. So knowledge doesn't remain with just one person. So it's just matter to discuss the problem, and then we can always find better solutions. Time for third person who want to share the learnings or the possible solutions. Anyone? We have one person.
So for lack of communication, one of the solutions we came up with is you could have daily meetings between team members to communicate and iron out some of the issues that you have with projects that you're working on. Or you could, if communication is a really big problem, you could communicate in a universal way that ensures that everyone on the team will understand the point that you're trying to get across. Then for an issue like lack of proper hardware, you could invest in new hardware, or if you lack the funds to invest in new hardware, you could try increasing the number of workers or developers or team members that you have to make up for the lack of hardware or the lack of computing power. And for an issue that's out of control like load shedding, you could invest in other power solutions like solar energy, nuclear energy, or even geothermal energy and stuff like that. Then for our second paper, lack of motivation. For that problem, you could solve it by having team members encourage each other with positive reinforcement and provide a friendly, cooperative environment for people to work. Then lack of manpower or lack of staff. You could solve this problem by hiring people remotely in other countries to do work for you while the results come to you here locally. Or you could hire some freelance members if there aren't enough people on your team. And if you have a weak economy or the country that you're living in isn't doing so well, you could support local businesses and enterprises to boost the economy and diversify the industries that are in the economy. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear these solutions. And did you see that not just one person, not me or not any, just one person out of you came up with these solutions. We all have solutions. It's just a matter of discussing those problems and discussing those solutions together. Remember, change is difficult, not impossible. Thank you, everyone.
I have a question on legacy systems. I wanted to ask how exactly they work, because when you talked about them, I don't really have much information on them. So I therefore did not understand the solutions you gave to them.
So basically, legacy systems are the systems which were developed like few years back, okay, on the old technologies, where it's difficult to find people who work on them. There's not much support from those organizations. So for example, Visual Basic. So Microsoft stopped their support long back on Visual Basic. Now if there are applications which are still running on the same system, then if there's a technical problem, then it's a possibility that we might not have a solution because they are not supporting them. Another problem is, because it's an old technology, people don't want to work on old technology. Because the new technologies are easier, they make people's life easy. Okay, it's not that those technologies were bad, they were good at their time. So the practices, there's no best practice, there's a saying, yes, so today's best practice might become a normal problem later. Right, so maybe in 1990s or maybe not in 90s, in 2005 Visual Basic was one of the great language. But then later, a few other languages came and it became, those languages or those programming languages made people's life easier. So if there are applications in banking domain which are developed in like technology which was 30-year-old, 40-year-old, and those organizations are still using it. But the problem is, because people don't want to work on the older technologies, that's why it's difficult to find people. So there are various problems in the legacy. So legacy, and that's why there's a saying, if you can't write test for that code, if you haven't written a test for that code, it's already legacy code.
My second question is, in a case where you have rigid structures and you're trying to redistribute the amount of influence or power in terms of decision making, how exactly do you still maintain the same strength and authority that an organization would carry after all that has been distributed?
So there is a concept of centralized decision making and decentralized decision making. So this concept I learned in Scale Agile framework. So as an organization, as a leadership, you need to know that what are the decisions you need to centralize, where only some few people should make those decisions, and what are the decisions which should be decentralized, so that more and more people can contribute towards the decision, or more and more people have authority to take the decisions. So they need to segregate that. For example, sometimes the daily routine work, if it is impacting a lot of people, and if without getting approval from top leadership, if we can still resolve those problems, then those decision makings should be decentralized. So that need to come from the leadership. Because it's all part of agility, and agility works from top down and bottom up. So that's why it's important to collaborate rather than like just negotiating with each other. Okay, I think we are done. Hand over to Nancy.
Thank you very much, Rahul. It is lunch time.